Tyson Fury re-emerging. And the suggestion is he's going to fight Makhmudov, who obviously at one point, until chopped down by our mate Agit Kabayel, was the beast in the division to some extent in people's minds. Certainly, over the week, frighten you in an alley, wouldn't he? Do you see? Are you pleased to see Tyson back, Johnny?
He never went anywhere. Tyson's had a rest. Now he's had a word with himself. Thought, oh, okay, I've had my little pity party. I'm back in the mix again. Yes, because he's the biggest character going out there, like it or not. He's the one that's the loudest. He's look how long he's been since he's been in the ring, but everybody's talking about him now, running the streets of the Philippines or wherever he is.
Yeah.
And just that conversation, say Tyson's back. So now, what is he going to look like? Does Tyson Fury still have the legs? No, I don't think he does. But he has the experience and the wisdom more than all the boys that are there at the moment, and he has the character to beat most fighters before he gets in the ring. So it's a case of who they put him in with. I'd have said Fabio. And that's a proper phoenix out of the fire.
Yeah. I think Makhmudov is the perfect opponent. The reason being because he'll get a few rounds with him, but more importantly, he will see exactly what he's got left at that level. Because Makhmudov is the gatekeeper, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I go like boxing Fabio Wardley, going straight into a Wardley fight. You go. Like Duke said earlier in the show, once you become champion, it elevates you to that next level. You know, he's now believing he's the guy with the target on his back. He's not chasing anymore. He's going to be a handful to beat by any heavyweight, Fabio Wardley. And I think that for Fury, it's got to be calculated. And I think Makhmudov is the guy that will give him that test.
Because we all wrote Makhmudov, didn't we? We thought that there was a distinct possibility that Dave Allen was going to chop him down.
Yeah.
And we saw him obviously lose to Agit Kabayel, and all the sort of lustre went away. You know, he lost again. And then got a victory and then went in against Dave Allen, and he was far better and had far more about him than people were going to give him credit for, which is probably unfair on the assessment of him. Does he give Tyson a raft of problems in that fight, or do we just see Tyson being able to, class-wise, ease past him without too much of difficulty?
Stylistically, he's perfect for Tyson.
Yeah,
just because he comes forward. Yeah, he's very strong, but Tyson's smart, man. You speak to any heavyweight, Tyson's boxing IQ is off the scale.
And aesthetically, it looks good because he's a big unit. So Tyson popping and beating and roughing up Makhmudov is like works from a treat.
We've heard Tyson also say that he wants to fight Fabio Wardley in the summer. When you look at that fight, Duke, how do you see that one playing out? If it were, I mean, we're creating these fights, they're givens.
I'd like to see it because you know, we haven't seen the best of Fabio Wardley yet. And that will bring out the best in Fabio Wardley, because in Fabio Wardley's mind's eye, he's saying, right, I've got Tyson Fury in front of me, the guy everybody's talking about. And if I can go out there and I can blow him out of the water and look good doing it, he would be so up for that fight. That's not the sort of fight. As I keep saying it, Simon, Fabio Wardley's he's not a comeback fight.
No, I hear you. I mean, when you say we haven't seen the best of Fabio Wardley, I mean, I thought the performance against Joseph Parker was... I mean, I went to the Justice Hooney fight.
Good fight.
And I like Fabio, and I want him to be successful, and I get tired of all the backstory being brought out every single time Fabio goes into a fight.
Yeah.
And the only fight he was expected to win was the Justice Hooney fight. And he got away with one there, didn't he? I know they'll say, Frank will say, well, that's what it's there for. The equaliser's there to do its job, and it did the job. If Justice Hooney had been a little bit more savvy and carried a little bit more power, then there'd have been all kinds of problems for Fabio Wardley, and we wouldn't be looking at him as a world title holder because of the circumstances he fights in. But when we talk about Fabio stepping in against Tyson Fury, surely, irrespective of whether Tyson's been on a long layoff, Fabio must need a fight in between that win against Joseph Parker and potentially going in against a Tyson Fury, mustn't he, Spence?
Absolutely, and he gets that fight as well. I spoke to Frank Warren about that, actually. I spoke to him yesterday, and he said, look, Fabio Wardley, they've got no opponent named yet because there's so many names flying around at the moment. You're talking about, you know, your Zhele Zhang, Daniel Dubois, and we've got Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. Oleksandr Usyk now is being paired with Andy Ruiz Jr. So, like, all the names are being taken up. You go, where does Fabio Wardley, the world champion, sit? Frank says April, early May, he definitely boxes, so he's out. So, yeah, he will have that fight before possibly a fight with Tyson Fury if Fury comes through against Makhmudov and he comes through his fight. That, I believe, will be the fight after that.
It's a fight that could easily be made as well.
I believe that.
And I agree. I don't think Fabio's anywhere near the finished article. He's nowhere near. He's still, so as a world champion, he's still got a lot of learning to do. So therefore, he's got to go through a lot of experiences, shapes and sizes of opponents. But he's nowhere near that. Like, he's top of his game. I don't think so yet.
When we talk about Tyson coming back, and obviously there was never any doubt in anyone's mind, really, that he was going to come back, do we see all roads leading him to another world title, Johnny?
Deservedly so, yeah. Why not? He's a perfect
Deservedly
scout.
so.
Yeah, you do, because he's been a world champion
Yeah.
before. He's ticked every single box. For the young guns up and coming, looking at Tyson Fury, the guy that's been beaten by a very special individual, he's a perfect scalp. And for Tyson Fury and the governing bodies, they'll think, right, you know what? You are still up there amongst the dangerous crew, so we will give you. He deservedly gets.
And you're
a shot.
bankable, of course.
Pardon?
You're bankable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the challenge that, to some extent, Fabio has had, I suspect, in the reaction from Usyk in terms of the reasons why Usyk hasn't fought him, because the bankability of Fabio doesn't carry the same traction, does it?
That's Usyk. Usyk's problem is, who does he fight next? So there's
And
all
get
these
paid.
young guns coming out, but who brings the biggest bucks in? And that's why he was talking about fighting Wilder, because Wilder still had some pound notes at the end of his name. If he gets turned over again, those pound notes disappear. But there's no other big names out there, money names out there for Usyk to fight, to say, right, there you go. So that's why your Moseses and your Fabios, you'll say, nah, I don't need that.
Well, we'll get to Usyk in a minute, but one fighter that, obviously Frank Warren's got to keep a load of balls up in the air because he's got so many fighters that are in that division. So he's got his challenges, isn't he? In terms of keeping his fighters apart, albeit
It's a nice challenge to have, though, isn't it? Like, because he's in a situation where you go, someone like, let's say, Daniel Dubois, who's just lost his world title to Oleksandr Usyk, you go, Frank can afford to put, like, say to Daniel, right, come on, I'm going to give you another huge opportunity, but it's a sort of sink or swim situation. Like, Frank can afford to do that, as opposed to what Duke was talking about with, like, the rebuilding process, giving him 2 or 3 fights. You don't really need to do that now, and sometimes the fighter don't want that.
I know he's established.
Yeah.
Fabio's established. All the fighters we're talking about, they're all established. And when they're in world title fights against one another, it all looks good. But then when somebody gets bumped off, everybody deserves to be brought back.
Absolutely,
The right way.
So, but what I'm saying is, at what sort of level you go? Like, do you they can get brought back against a very good fighter? Like, that's what I believe. That's what I'm talking
but out
about.
of Frank's heavyweight stable, who do you think has the most pulling power with Frank? Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
Yeah,
Well, without a doubt.
So Tyson Fury will then say, right, Frank, I want him.
This one.
So
Yeah,
these
that one.
fights can easily be made because Frank's got all the marbles. So if Tyson Fury wants Fabio, he gets Fabio.
But it must be an interesting one for Frank because he's got a duty of care to each one of his fighters, not just his bank balance, right? So ultimately his job will be to guide Fabio Wardley in the best opportunity to be able to have some longevity as a world title holder, as well as get paid. And surely it can't be in Fabio's best interests to be fighting Tyson Fury as early as it suits Tyson Fury.
I think that Fabio Wardley, he said himself, like he openly welcomed that fight.
Well, he will do, won't he? Because he's a fighter.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that...
But it's Frank's job to guide him.
Yeah,
It's
but...
Frank's job to
Moses Atoma would fight for a world title tomorrow if he was allowed.
If Tyson shouts loud enough, he's getting it.
Yeah, but you've got to understand it's about timing as well. And you go, Tyson Fury, he's not the fighter he once was. Yeah, he's still a top-class fighter, for sure. But I don't believe that he's at the level that he once was. It's
a fascinating dichotomy.
Timing could be perfect for Wardley.
Or maybe the best move for Frank would be, so the only fighter he's got to really listen to is Tyson. So maybe, and realistically, how much time has he got left with Tyson at this at world level? So he's got to get rid of him. To say, right, I'm really done. And then all these fights that he's got, he can dictate to him, you were there, you were there.
Go.
So
Pieces,
maybe get him in there, behind closed doors, hope that Fabio beats him. So you're out of the way now. I don't have to listen to you. Right, boys, I'm controlling this puppet game. And that's what could probably work for Frank.
I'm going back a second. Any merit in Daniel Dubois fighting David Adelaide?
David Adelaide. Good comeback fight. It's a good comeback fight. Because if like I say, once you sort of clean up the domestic scene, or what you call fringe contenders, then the next obvious choice then is to fight for a world title.
I don't mind that fight, to be fair. I think that
Just out of left field.
That's not a bad shout. David Adelaide.
Does it sell?
Huh?
Does it sell?
Well,
I think it sells. Because listen, one thing you can guarantee is an explosive fight. I think
it would
with
go.
what's going on in the heavyweight division right now, there's eyeballs on that for sure.
Sure, it happens 100%.
one fight that appears to be made is April the 4th, which is Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. That's done now, is it? Riddle me this, riddle me that with Derek last week. I couldn't make no sense of it. He wasn't being represented by Queensbury. Frank says he is. He's having a negotiation with a promoter that he doesn't have. Is it a goer? Is it a likely outcome? And if it is, where's it likely to be?
I don't think anything's changed. I think that Derek Chisora said after the Otto Wallin fight, 2 months after the Otto Wallin fight. That contract had expired. He's a free agent. Yeah, he was talking with Frank about making certain fights. Then all of a sudden, this Deontay Wilder fight's popped up. April the 4th is the rumoured date. And you go, Wasserman is the rumoured promoter, Wasserman and KSI. Sky Sports box office is the rumoured, I don't know, this guy might be able to tell us a little bit more, but Sky Sports box office is the rumoured network that it would land on. So, look, Frank Warren seems to think otherwise.
Sky Boxing got any subscribers left?
They've got one or two left. Good shot. They've got one or two left. They've got a few moves up their sleeves. I think with that situation there, I think that just looking at from the outside in, I think the problem is this Frank situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Frank's basically, so once they sort that out, whatever the conversation is, that'll be the thing that gets over the line. So I think that once that's sorted out, Derek said this is what's happening. Then Frank might just want a piece of the action one way or another.
Sure. What's the direction of travel for Sky? Wasserman, Zuffa? Can you see any of those?
I gather there's conversations been going on, but don't quote me on it. I gather there's conversations, but I gather the appetite's still there, which is good. We're still on the dance floor.
I'm hearing MVP Promotions is one of those promoters that could be, and that sort of makes sense with Sky because I know they were very heavily into the women's boxing.
Yeah, and MVP.
And I'm hearing Wasserman as well.
That'd be good, Johnny. You can have a bunch of influencers sat next to you commenting on boxing.
Oh, please don't do that to me. But listen, at the end of the day, I think, of course, they're still on the dance floor, so that should happen. I think the promoters that you've mentioned, yes, I hear the same thing as you guys do. I'm not in the office, so I hear and I speak to a lot of the promoters. So hopefully we'll see how it rolls out. We'll know within a couple of weeks.
Right. What's going on? What do you make of the Chisora Deontay Wilder fight, Duke? You like that fight? Where do you think that one's going?
It's a good fight. They're both at a crossroads, aren't they? They're both Derek Chisora.
Do you think he's done Wilder? I mean, he makes a big song and dance. I mean, he came back from wherever he was with a kumbaya moment and never been the same. Right? He now tells us, with all due respect to his personal life, that it was situations in his personal life with his wife and all these sort of things. He went off to some camp and came back with a different view, didn't he, of life? He now is impressing upon us that that's now gone. Can you see, as fighters, former fighters, what we saw in the ring against Zhili Zhang, what we saw in the ring against Joseph Parker, was no real resemblance of what we'd seen before in terms of the ferocity and the intensity. Can he get it back?
Yeah, and Johnny would say, and it's probably Spencer, have you been divorced? I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
we all have.
I know I have. I don't know if you have.
It's expensive and it hurts.
But once
It makes you all quick, man.
once you've been through the mill, as I'd like to say, that can really affect your performance, and it can really just turn everything upside down. And sometimes you never get it back. But in Deontay Wilder's case, as he's publicly stated, his personal life was in turmoil.
Yeah.
And he's had counselling. He's what a lovely man, by the way. We met him in Dubai. He's a real nice guy. But he's, once his private life had all been laid bare in public, he didn't look the same. And then he said he was trying different things. He was trying to box more. Deontay Wilder isn't a boxer. He's a puncher. So if he can put all of that to one side and get back to being Deontay Wilder, the bomb squad Deontay Wilder, then he could be...
Who's his coach? Who's his coach now?
Well, it was Malik Scott, wasn't it?
Is he still with Malik?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if he's still
So
with him.
when I saw him box, I thought he looked like a frail old man. He's 40 years old. As a heavyweight, I think once it's gone, unless you can get yourself a certain pace to work at, like your George Foreman's, who work at a certain pace, but it's consistent, it's painful. As a heavyweight, if you can't, all of a sudden you go downhill rapidly. And he just looked frail. There was no snap in his shots in anything. When he got hit,
there's a direct result.
Yeah,
it could be. And when it's gone, it's gone.
I'm just saying.
40 years old.
Yeah, but like when you're going in and out of court probably with his ex-wife, and when you've got kids and you've got dependents and all the rest of it, you can't get that out of your head. You sit down in the corner and round 6, round 9 or whatever it is, and you're facing the judge in your head, and you're going back and reflecting on all the things that you've been going through.
He said in Dubai, he's a great salesman, if
great,
anything else, because he was talking about this betrayal and everything else going on in his life, and he said, when that first bell rings, and he goes, and you'll know as fighters, you go, if you've left some stone unturned, straight away, that self-confidence, that self-belief that I had, when I knew that I'd done everything I could, he goes, and that's why I'd go in there. He said, crept straight in. So he said, before the first bell, I'm thinking, I've not done it. So like all of a sudden it's becoming a negative performance.
Yeah.
We know he's technically no good.
Yeah,
We know
sure.
that you know
He's not a
everything
boxer.
is about
He's
the
a target.
He's not a boxer.
Yeah, technically,
Yeah.
he's not great at all.
No.
Let's have it right.
So
He's just wild, very heavy-handed.
There's no debate, though, is there, about that side of things? It's always been the power and the ferocity that he contained that caused the damage to the fighters that he fought, until he reached the level of Tyson Fury, and that level was too much for him. If we've got a Deontay Wilder that's somewhere along the line back to where he was before, and Derek Chisora coming off a back of series of decent wins, right? What kind of fight are we going to see? Are we going to see Derek win this fight?
Great fight.
It's a great fight.
Yeah,
It's
It is a good. It's a really good fight.
I thought both these guys should have retired last year.
Yeah.
Where they were in their career, but for this fight now for Derek, because we were talking about 2 or 3 years ago, I thought it was so dangerous for him. Now I think this is a fight again Derek could win.
Yep.
And because of the levels they're at, the styles would clash well, but I just think it's a fight for Derek to win.
And then it'll be Derek won't retire, and it'll
No.
be a series of opportunities for Derek to manifest outcomes. And listen, it's his
Well,
life, it's his health, he can do as he wants, can't
he's
he?
going to have his own problems if he doesn't retire after this.
I know
one,
he said
according to
that.
him and
I
his
know-
wife
I know he said that.
etc. But yeah, like, look, he'd be in a position if he didn't do that. He could madly be in a position here. If he beats Deontay Wilder, he could be in a position to fight Oleksandr Usyk again. That is where he pretty much is.
There's so
And
many
he
fights
gave him a load of trouble in the first fight.
Absolutely, give him.
Yeah, there's so many
probably
fighters
the
that can
hardest
find
fight.
themselves in that position, but again, it's about Usyk. He's going to look on who gives me the most money.
Yeah.
Who puts the most money on the table.
Well, that leads me into Usyk, and it's been suggested quite significantly that it's Andy Ruiz. Can you make head nor tail of that? And what do you think of that fight?
I think he's split up with K2 Promotions now, his long-time promoters, and Alexander Krasiuk, who was his long-time manager.
Yeah.
He's doing it on his own now. He's been out there speaking Zuffa Boxing, TKO,
Yeah,
looking to
fantastic.
build an
But why
audience.
Ruiz?
Yeah,
But why
looking
Ruiz?
to build because he's looking to build an American audience. And Andy Ruiz Jr. is the guy that maybe fits the bill for him in this fight, because with Alexander, I think he's widely said this himself. He wants to beat everyone of this era.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz Jr. is a former world heavyweight champion. He wants Oleksandr Usyk. He wants Andy Ruiz. And let's have it
Yeah.
right. They're very easily winnable fights.
Yeah, of course
So
they
it
are.
sort of makes
And
sense.
I don't think Ruiz is, He's got fast stands, even though he doesn't look the part. I just think...
think he gives Usyk troubles?
No, I think he gives him a hard time.
Do you?
Yeah, I
Really?
do. I think he's tough. I think his appetite changed once he got the AJ money. That was it. his head had gone.
Yep.
But he's been wealthy enough now to get used to being wealthy.
Yep.
So hopefully that appetite's come back again. He's a dangerous handful. And that's why he's in the Who Needs Him club.
You two boys have been world champions, and we've watched Usyk, and the one thing that we always alight upon with him is the quality of the man. He's a class act. Every time he's in a room, he's a class act. Usyk. Yeah. What have you made of his behaviour since the fight against Daniel Dubois? Because he made a big deal, and rightly so, about Anthony Joshua affording him a fight back in the day that created all these opportunities. Of course, his talent created it as well. But Anthony Joshua, he was very grateful for Anthony Joshua giving him a shot, which then created all the outcomes for him, which he's built off the back of and has become the superstar that he now is. Yet he's denied Joseph Parker an opportunity, which has created his own set of problems for Joseph Parker, which he created for himself as well, of course. But Joseph Parker takes a fight against Fabio Wardley that he doesn't need to take, potentially, when he should have been having a world title shot against Oleksandr Usyk. He's not been available to have fights. What do you make as former world champions, given the quality of this man and these achievements, about his behaviour over the last 6 or 7 months?
I don't see anything wrong in his behaviour, Simon. I think he's earned the right to pick and choose who he fights when he fights, and.
But holding on to belts, though. But holding on to belts.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a deliberate ploy. I don't think it's deliberate. He said to himself, I won't vacate WBO, whatever it is, WBC belt. I don't think he's done that deliberately. I think that's just the way that's panned out. I think
But
given the
sporting
chance,
merit, when you look at the calibre of the guy fighting Andrew Ruiz, I get the dynamic that he wants to perhaps introduce himself into America. But there are other
market.
people like Cabiel that are well worthy of a shot against for a title.
But they're not known in America. That's the problem.
The thing is, I think
So no sporting merit for the guy that
No, what I'm
spent
saying,
his whole
look,
career as sporting
Anthony
merit.
Joshua went over there to fight Jake Paul, didn't he? And he was
Whole
hardly
different,
recognisable.
whole different set of scenarios.
No,
yes.
but what I'm saying is that I think for Oleksandr Usyk, it's about building his profile in America.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz Jr. has a profile in America,
And ticks that
whereas
box.
someone like Cabiel will have zero profile.
I think Usyk's one of the few fighters that is bigger than the belts. So you might say, hold on, he could give those belts up now. Oleksandr Usyk, as far as even the layman is concerned, he's top dog. I think for Oleksandr now, he's at the point of walking away, and it's like it's a business decision now. who makes me the most money.
Yeah.
Because he's proved it all now.
Yeah.
So even though you might think his attitude's changed to say, I've done it all, I've climbed the mountain, now I want to go to America and get a mad payday against somebody because, believe it or not, Anthony Joshua's probably more wealthier than he is.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury's more wealthy, and this guy's beaten them all. He's done so much, but he's not been at the top of the tree making big money to
Is
sit
Andy
back and-
Ruiz? I don't
Sorry,
want to
Tyson Fury, not Andy Ruiz.
I don't want to. Yeah, I was going to say I don't want to be mean-spirited about Andy Ruiz, but I don't see him as being big money for Oleksandr Usyk. and he's his next fight.
He's a familiar.
He's an American, isn't he? And that's the market that Oleksandr Usyk wants to break. He's the American market.
Yeah.
And there isn't any. I don't know any other bigger named American fighters for him to fight.
And let's understand the outfit that he's speaking to as well, which is Zuffa Boxing, Dana White, and
Yeah,
Turki
sure.
Al-Sheikh. So the money
The
will
money will be there, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Before we leave the heavyweights, let's just briefly touch upon an opportunity that looks like it's presenting itself to Johnny Fisher. That going to land for him, is it, in terms of a shot against, I'm assuming, Jamie TKV?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will land for him. He's coming off a win now out in Monte Carlo, and he was hurt badly in that fight as well. And you just go like, where are you going to go with it? Now, listen, it's a great opportunity for Johnny Fisher. For Jamie TKV, equally, it's a great opportunity to defend your belt, the first belt, against an opponent. You go, Jamie TKV, off that last performance against Fraser Clark, you go, he starts an overwhelming favourite against Johnny Fisher. So it makes sense for both sides. It's about Johnny rebuilding his brand and rebuilding his profile and getting an opportunity against Jamie TKV. And Jamie TKV saying, that's the opponent I want. You know, I think that like if you're picking opponents, you go, well, Johnny Fisher, like in the situation he is right now, coming off that knockout defeat and then getting wobbled badly in his last fight as well, you go, there's a lot of question marks over
I think
him.
for TKV, it's a perfect opponent. For Johnny, it's a great opportunity. He knows his limitations. He knows he might. You know, I think at one point in his career, he could become a British champion, but nothing more than that. But this is a good, from TKV's point of view, it's a good choice.
Do you think Johnny Fisher beats TKV?
No.
No.
I know, no. But he has he has time. Listen, a loss doesn't mean it's the end of his career.
Sure.
He's going to learn another knowledge. It's just a case of who's champion at the time, or if it's a vacant belt.
It's a good fight.
Yeah, it's a very good fight.
It's an opportunity that Dave Allen will perhaps be looking at, thinking, because he made a big deal about wanting to win a British title, talked about his father and ticking that box in terms of making his father proud. And that's now disappeared from the radar for him because he chose to take the Makhmudov fight, didn't he? And obviously people get built up into mindsets. Johnny Fisher was built up after the first fight against Dave Allen, which incidentally I think he lost as well, and got rudely exposed, didn't he?
Yeah,
in the second
absolutely.
fight.
Listen.
And I think there's a distinct possibility, as much as I'm not an admirer of a lot of Jamie TK's work, I think he is a level above Johnny Fisher.
I think that Jamie TKV, Johnny Fisher, that fight, if that fight does happen next, I think that probably the winner of that would probably box Dave Allen next anyway, because I think that's where the landscape would sort of lie. Like, Dave Allen is very much in that mix. I think he'll probably get the winner of that one.